everyone, I'm David Ringstrom, a CPA in Atlanta, and welcome to Expediting Excel, Creating Beneficial Budget Spreadsheets. Over the course of our time together today, I'm going to share with you a number of design strategies and features and worksheet functions that we can pull together to create more effective budget spreadsheets. In my view, budget spreadsheets are a special animal unto themselves because we often have to put them together under short time frames, lots of things changing, adding, taking things away. And then we get measured by the results of our budget for a year and often have to explain any variances that, particularly those that arise from simple spreadsheet errors in our budgets. And so we want to make those budget spreadsheets be as resilient as possible so that we can adapt to these last minute requests and be able to incorporate them cleanly and not solve one problem with our budget and then create new ones that we're then saddled with explaining for an extended period of time. I want to give you a bit of background about my materials and my teaching style. The PowerPoint presentation is designed to accommodate you no matter what version of Excel you might be using, which could be Excel for 2007, 10, 13, or 16. You will see me demonstrate everything at least twice today. I will first walk you through it on the PowerPoint slides, which have numbered steps, or in the case of worksheet functions, we'll break the functions down and walk through them in detail. I'll then go to Excel 2016 and carry out those techniques firsthand, so I'll kind of tell you what I'm going to show you, and then I'll physically go show you in Excel. Everyone's budget spreadsheet is different and has different requirements, but what I've tried to do is put together a simplified budget so that we can focus more on various ways to accumulate the data and also lay out our budget spreadsheet. And so one design strategy that is crucial is to group all the inputs together into their own worksheet. Many times folks will take these key inputs and they'll either embed them in areas where formulas are or just kind of scatter them around the workbook. And that causes a couple problems. One, if someone is brand new to the spreadsheet, it's going to take them more time to get up to speed on where do we go to change the sales price or where do we change the interest rate and so on. Further, by putting all these inputs together on an inputs worksheet, we can see kind of a control panel for everything that we need to manage about the budget spreadsheet. So in this case, our first worksheet will be the inputs worksheet that has all of the inputs themselves. The second worksheet will be a supporting schedules worksheet, and that's going to have calculations that kind of extend out that are going to feed into the two different budget spreadsheets that we have. We'll have an operating budget and also a cash budget. And so we're able to do most of the heavy lifting on the inputs and the supporting schedules worksheets. We'll see that the operating budget and cash budget worksheets pull together quickly because we'll have laid a proper foundation on the supporting schedules worksheet. Also, by isolating the inputs onto that separate inputs worksheet, we can then more easily protect the formulas in our budget so that we can password protect the other worksheets so that a user doesn't try to inadvertently change our formulas or somehow compromise the budget spreadsheet. We can spend less time having to go audit the spreadsheet because we're able to build it out and then protect it from the users. So here's just a quick overview of what our budget spreadsheet looks like. There is the Inputs tab, and we're going to be making some adjustments to this Inputs tab to set the stage for more easily creating formulas that elsewhere in the budget spreadsheet. And so many times, I'm sure with your budget spreadsheets, you've experienced where you go over to, let's say, this worksheet, and then you have to type an equal sign, switch back to the Inputs tab, and then we lose all context for we're trying to write that formula. So we're going to use a different approach. We're going to be assigning names to these inputs. And then on the Formulas menu, we'll see that there will be a command we'll be able to use. It's called Use in Formula. This command is available in Excel for Windows. It's not present in the Mac version of Excel. But there's still a way that we can use those names. It's just that the Use in Formula command makes it particularly easy to choose our inputs once we've assigned those names. We'll also be assigning names to individual cells here. We're going to use the table feature here because in this section, very likely we'll be adding additional expenses, and the table feature is going to future-proof that so that formulas that rely on this area of the spreadsheet will update themselves. We won't have to go back in and edit formulas to look at an an extended range of the worksheet. The Supporting Schedules tab is going to break out various calculations that support the operating budgets, and so there won't be any black box here. That's a problem with budget spreadsheets, is folks kind of try to accomplish too much in one space, and then when you go back and try to detangle the formulas, that can be particularly problematic there. Then we see that there's an operating budget that will be easy to put together. And then depending on how much time we have, we'll fill out some elements of the cash budget as well. Going to follow the same convention for building the operating budget. To begin, we're going to assign names to our input cells. And so on the inputs worksheet, I have grouped most of the inputs together into a 2-column list. So before we get to there, I want to first draw your attention to step 1, which is an area of Excel that's known as the name box. Now, many folks use Excel for an extended period of time, years, maybe decades, not realizing that how much functionality lies behind that one little simple space in Excel. Many users just think that that's where you can glance up there and see if the address of the cell that you've currently clicked on. There are actually 36 different activities I can carry out in that one little space where the cell address appears. And we'll see a couple of those today. First, if we click the arrow on the right-hand side of the name box, we're going to find that when we get a list that's presently empty. That's because most of our Excel workbooks are not using range names. So range names are a way that we can assign names to individual input cells, and then in our formulas, we can refer to them by their name rather than the cell address. Further, once we've assigned those names, if we jumped ahead to step 6, we'll see that the name box, there'll be a drop-down list, and those names that we've assigned become bookmarks. That means we can be elsewhere in the budget spreadsheet, choose a name from that list, and Excel will take us directly to that worksheet cell. So range names are going to make our formulas easier to write, easier to audit, and also give us a newfound way to navigate within our spreadsheet more easily. Now, sometimes we will have to create range names on a one-by-one basis, and there is a section on the inputs worksheet where we will need to carry out that action. But for many of our inputs, if we structure the data such as I've done in step 2, where I've grouped the inputs all together, then we can make Excel do the work for us. So step 2, we're going to see that we're going to select cells A2 through B9 on the inputs worksheet. Step 3, we'll go to the Formulas menu. Step 4, we're going to click Create from Selection. When we do so, that's going to bring up a Create Names from Selection dialog box, from which step 5, all we need to do is click OK. That's because Excel is going to correctly surmise that we want to take the names from the left column of our 2-column selection and assign them as names to the cells on the right. Once we've done that, step 6 shows that we can click the arrow in the name box and then see the names that Excel has assigned for us. There are a couple rules that we need to bear in mind when we're creating names, and that's one of the benefits of Create from Selection is we don't have to worry about the rules because Excel takes care of it for us. So a couple of those rules are we cannot have any spaces or punctuation in the names, and so Excel automatically replaces those with underscores. So any illegal characters get replaced with an underscore. When we're creating names by hand, we're going to find that the names have to begin with a letter. We can have numbers in the range names, but that the numbers cannot be in the first character. The first character has to be a letter or an underscore. In our spreadsheet, let's assign names to these worksheet cells. So I'll first go up to the name box. Notice that in this spreadsheet, it's blank. There's no names assigned yet to this anywhere in this workbook. So I'm going to assign some. I'm going to select cells A2 through B9. So I select those cells. I activate Excel's Formulas menu. And then roughly in the middle is a command that says Create from Selection. So when I click that, then I get a dialog box that says Create Names from Selection. And so depending on the layout of my spreadsheet, I could make these other choices, but most of the time when I'm using this feature in Excel, I'm taking the words from the left column, assigning them as names to the cells in the right column. So I'll just simply click OK. There's nothing to change here. And it can seem like nothing particularly happened. But if we turn our attention back to the name box, notice then that these names appear here.